Okay. So let's get started. Thanks everyone for joining. Again, sorry I was late. Let's start with new faces. I think I recognize everyone here, so we can skip over that. And we can get right into the RFCs. Okay. And I apologize, I was not in attendance last week. I was out, so you'll have to bear with me if there's any repeats from discussion. So first up on the RFCs, we have the YJ. Oh, I forgot to ask for a note taker. Is anyone available to take a few notes?
I can take notes.
Thank you, Arjun. Beautiful. Okay. First up, we have the YJ binary removal from the stacks. This is Stan's RFC. Are there any updates or comments or questions on this RFC? Looks like the last comment was from Forest looking for stacks maintainers approval to put this in final comment period. So I think that's just on me as a stacks maintainer to respond to. If there's any other questions about this one, feel free to chime in now while we're in the FCP. Decouple dependencies from the build packs. Can take a quick look. This is Forest's RFC, and he is not in today. Scroll down to the bottom and see. I still see a lot of open conversation here. I think this just has so much detail. It's going to take a minute to resolve and come into alignment, but are there any ideas here that people want to discuss while we're together or concerns? Okay. We have Jericho's RFC to publish multi-architecture build packs. How's this going, Jericho?
I mean, I think I was going to try to add some more examples, but I feel like we just need to kind of have a decision from the steering committee at some point on whether you want to move forward or not. Because I feel like the discussion, there's a lot of good discussion in there, and I'm not sure we need to add more other than, we want to move forward with it and then figure out how you actually want to implement it. So I think it's kind of waiting for that. I did see some kind of change in the ticket, like it says 1 of 5 tasks done. So I don't really know what the status of it is right now.
All right, so you're looking for just some input from the steering committee to kind of move this forward. And yeah, it does kind of look like most of the conversations here have concluded. So I will ping the steering committee members after this and have them take a look at this as soon as they can. Also, the rest of the core development team, since this will affect everybody, so we can kind of get the ball rolling on this. Are there any changes that you need to make to the RFC based off these conversations, or have you kind of been doing that as you go? I haven't had a chance to re-review this in a couple of weeks.
No, I mean, I was going to try to create like a full working example, but I'm not, I mean, there is kind of a community example from somebody else who was doing multi-arch build packs for Java, I think. But I'm not sure it's really important to necessarily put that in there. Because I think, it may not be implemented that way anyway. It's just an idea. Somebody's already doing this and we should too. So, yeah, I don't know that I need to add any more. I'm happy to add more if somebody wants something else, but I feel like everything's fairly well captured in there already.
Right, that makes sense. I think this is also similarly to the other one where it's just kind of like a big concept and nobody wants to just be the one to say, yeah, this looks good. Let's go ahead and do it. But I think that we're kind of at that point. It's been a month. I'll ping people and hopefully we can get some movement on that for next week.
Cool. Yeah, I was out, I think the last couple of meetings just because I couldn't make it. So yeah, if you could help get some eyes on this, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. We have the Bionic End of Support RFC here. This one has a bunch of approvals already. I think we could probably merge this in. I'll double check, but I think we're good here unless anybody has any concerns.
Yeah, from last week, I think Rob was looking for just an approval from all maintainers.
Okay, I'll bump everybody after this. Thanks. Okay, those are all of the RFCs we have. So we can move on to the next section. We have CNB updates and questions. I personally don't have any updates because I've been on vacation. Are there any other updates people know from the community or things they're wondering about? Okay. Next, we have project update. Again, not too sure about these because I have not been here, but anybody else in the community have anything they want to share? I saw some updates on some of the UBI related repositories, which is exciting that that's moving forward, but anything else? Okay. And then next up, we have open mic questions and discussion topics. So first up, we have one from Michael. He could not make the meeting. And oh yeah, there you go. Number of PRs related to libnodejs that need review.
Yeah, Michael says sends his apologies in advance. He's can't make today's one, but yeah, he's Michael's looking after the UBI Node.js extension stuff, and he's got a bunch load of PRs there that are pending review that are starting to hold things up a bit. So if any of the Node.js teams or people who can review those can have a look at those or can be encouraged to look at those, that would be very useful. The second point that he's got there is more of the bigger discussion point for today, which we want to know as Red Hat now, who can we work with as far as stacks with the pool that we've got there for our base stack towards working towards getting that to actually do everything that it needs to, because we don't have a contact name for anybody who's part of the Paketo stacks team or anything like that. It's all currently hidden behind a nice little app, Paketo stacks stuff. So anyway, we need to know who we can chat with to work on that, to at least get somebody to have a look at that so that we can start moving forwards, because we've got all the stuff coming together now. I think we should be able to put together a UBI image with the Node stuff in it. The Java stuff is following close behind, but I've got to rewrite a pipeline builder after we've successfully updated libcnb to have extension support. So that's going to follow shortly afterwards. But yeah, the code's written, it does run, but we got to get the dependency chain in place. Otherwise, Paketo can't build it. Okay, but yes, so if does anyone here know who we should be talking to about the stack stuff?
You're in luck. I'm a stacks maintainer, so I saw the PR open for the UBI based stack. I just have about 10,000 tabs open with things to look at, but I will definitely take a look at that this week and ASAP, and we can work on that together. The other stacks maintainers are Rob, who's out for a week or two, and then Brian. So usually I'll just look at we have Slack groups for everybody. If I've seen you in the Slack instance before, so usually I'll just look at those different like Buildpacks stacks or whichever team to see who's involved. It's just easier than going to the GitHub page. But
okay, cool.
I'll also ping the node maintainers directly to bump the need for review on the other PRs that you have open.
Cool, no worries. I'll let Michael know, and he'll probably follow up directly for the stack side stuff.
Okay, cool. I think we're a little light on node maintainers today. Not here, but just in general.
Michael's out today anyway, for the sounds of things. So he'll be following up probably tomorrow and onwards for the stacks and the node stuffs.
Excellent. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks for the update. Alrighty. I see another item here, proposal to align Paketo Buildpack logging output.
Yeah, I thought I'd mention it here. A colleague of mine has opened that. It's on the Node.js build pack. So I thought maybe I'd bring it up here because it's actually related to more than just that. So that might get more attraction. It's like they use different logging formats, and that gets especially strange if you use the CA certificates build pack as one example from the libpack side in a node environment where now it's a single log, so to say, that differs in how it's meant. So maybe some people spend a look there. I don't know if I should propose to my colleague to make this an RFC or if it's enough to have this as an issue, but maybe we start a discussion there, even if that ends in, yeah, please propose that as an RFC. So if you're interested, just have a look. Yes.
Yeah, this has been something that we've wanted to do for so long. The discrepancies between the logging are enormous between the Java and non-Java build packs. It's one of those things that we've wanted to do for a long time, and it just feels like no one's ever complained about it, but we know it's not great, so it always gets bumped down to the bottom. I would love to see an RFC for this. It's one of those things that's been on my to-do list for a long time, but it's a lot, and it will probably be kind of a long process, if I had to imagine, to try and get both sides to kind of converge on a logging standard. But I think it would be worth it, and if this is something that you all are interested in, then definitely feel free to proceed with an RFC. I think in the past, we've wanted to align on our debug logging output, but we've held off because as a part of that, we need the overall logging like look and structure to match. So definitely think we should maybe, I don't know, it's good to have this as an example in Node.js, but I think we could probably move this to a more central location because it really applies to all of the build packs. Cool, but thanks for the call out on this one. Okay, I see another item here related to stack removal. Does anybody want to speak to this item?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, Nat.
I added that. I'm Natalie, for those I haven't met before. I work on the CNB lifecycle, and we're slowly, every day inching closer to releasing the next lifecycle with the next set of APIs, which will have the concept of stacks. Not really removed, but just still there, along with new concepts. And this will require some changes for platforms and build packs. And I just wanted to kind of check in and see how this group is feeling about those changes and any questions that you all might have and that kind of thing. I don't know if anyone's thought that far ahead yet, but
Go ahead, Sophie.
I was just about to let everybody give a response before I follow up, so you're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, so Natalie, I've been working with you obviously, and Joe on this, and in the hopes to develop an understanding and then help communicate this to Paketo. So I don't really have any questions yet because I think we're still kind of, like you said, making our way towards the end goal, but we're almost there. So I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, relatedly, I haven't physically done much exploration into this yet, so I also don't have any direct questions. But I think we should definitely start thinking about this as a project since the release will be coming imminently. I'm not sure the best way. I feel like it's another one of those things that we've been kind of putting off thinking about as a project, but we really need to. So I'm kind of wondering what the best way to kind of kick that off on a project-wide level would be. I mean, this is a great start, but maybe something in writing. Maybe I'll send out a message in Slack and see if anybody has thoughts, but so far, I personally don't have anything. I know you were looking for some input from PHP maintainers the other day, but we didn't have anything at that point.
I was about to say, I'm mainly looking at Node and Java, and I guess there's not much of a problem there. I guess most of the references to stacks have been exchanged by a star mentioning in the Buildpacks TOML anyway in the recent time. So
yeah, there's going to be some fallout in Pipeline Builder. I know that much, and some fallout around the, or was it the Jam tool that's used to do some of the builds today, because Paketo's very tied to, or at least in the Java parts that I've looked at, it's very tied to using that particular tool that generates the run image and the build image, and then ties that together as a concept of a stack, so that the next part of Paketo can then consume that and do what it needs to. So when stack goes away at the cloud native build pack level, I guess Paketo could keep it artificially if it wanted, if it's just a construct that no longer exists into the deliverables. But as we're looking at the UBI stuff, where we're going to have multiple run images for one given builder image, that certainly starts to get a lot weaker, a little quicker. So I think there's going to be changes to come, but some of this will only really happen as you'll hit the problems when you try to remove it. And I don't think that's going to happen until people try to go in and actually remove stacks from the relevant different runtimes that exist.
Yeah, adding to that, we are very likely to squash together our stacks and builder repositories into one. And there's a one-to-one relationship with the Paketo repos for that as well, right? So it sounds a bit like that could be a move forward.
That's an interesting idea.
I mean, I've brought that up in the past already. Like, I could even envision to actually, I know it doesn't work for the full stuff, like to actually make this a like stack, just a weak notion of this is all based on the Gemi package ecosystem, but then actually you don't necessarily need to distinguish tiny, base, and full, because there are multiple run images you could use. It could even be extensions that choose, depending on the language, which one is taken. So I guess what we would run into is the layer limit, in terms of we can't just stuff everything into one builder because of the, what was it? How many? Anyway, whatever that was, the layer limit of Docker being the actual problem, because you could have just say a Gemi stack or a Gemi builder and then have multiple run images for that. And I guess at least Tiny and Base actually share the build image content-wise, but like there wouldn't be necessarily a need for a full build image, because you could use extensions to also just put whatever you need there.
Have you started that discussion anywhere? I know you said you brought this up in the past. Can you send me
I
that?
think I just brought it up in a meeting, so
Oh,
maybe
okay.
we can find something in the document that's for notes, nothing more concrete than that.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna look for that. And I think I'm gonna file an issue for us to, like, I'll probably just file a very basic top level issue that says, implement stack removal when it becomes available or something like that. And then I will pour over any context that I can find in the document, and maybe we can have a discussion there.
I mean, yeah, but from my perspective, it'd be interesting to see, and I don't know how much effort it is or whether it's viable, but if you could have a presentation on what Paketo does with stacks today, and on the flip side, a presentation of what's going away from the CNCF side of it, then we should be able to see what's missing. And I think at the moment, I'm kind of, I can't really comment too much on it, because I've met the different bits in different places, but I don't know how many of those are already in somebody else's to-do list. And I don't think anybody really has that at the moment, because I don't think anybody's got a to-do list for removing stacks in Paketo. So we're going to kind of have to start by drawing a map out of where do we use stacks today, how do we use them, and why would we using them that way? And then you can see where we can get rid of them and where we'll need to introduce a Paketo level construct to tie things together as something like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be called stack. Probably shouldn't be called stack. Call it something else.
There's one interesting bit outside of the build pack TOML, where even Java and Node ecosystems still have a reliance on stack. That's the conditionals checking for tiny as an indicator for there's no bash.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually on the multi-arch front, the first thing I did was try to play with how far along the stack removal RFC was, finished. How far along had it gotten? And that's when we discovered that there a little bit more work was needed. But I think that the approach should be more that stacks are deprecated and you'll just continue to support them for a long time, because you can never guarantee what API version somebody's using or whatever. So if you just keep the stack label in your Docker images when you create your stack, for lack of a better word, then you can support forward and backward compatibility. Like it's really just you start adding new labels and you get the benefits of both worlds. But anyways, I have a little repo that I created like to test this stuff out. And if you open an issue, I can link to it. Ironically, the thing I wanted to test was multi-arch build packs, but what I ended up doing was working on multi-arch builders because you need them to test all that stuff. So I'm happy to share that work when the issue gets created.
That would be excellent. I also liked your idea, Ozzy, of having some kind of show and tell where we kind of go through how everything works, both on the CNB side and how we currently do things in Paketo. Did y'all ever do something like that in the CNB working group meeting, Natalie, on the CNB side?
Kind of. I mean, we've been giving some demos of like with the pre-releases of Pack in the life cycle. This is how you create a builder. Look, here are new fields and builder tomls. Look, here's new, metadata that gets added to a builder, just to kind of showcase what it is that we're shipping. But I don't think we've really documented anywhere the kind of real life usage of either what exists or what will exist. But I've linked to the tracking issue that we're using to like kind of organize the different work streams on the CNB side. So you can see the original RFC as well as the spec PRs and the implementation.
Thank you. Are there any other thoughts on this? Sounds like, Natalie, in the coming meetings, we will be looking to discuss this more as we get this onto people's radars. Okay, that's the bottom of the agenda then. Are there any other comments or questions people want to bring up? Okay, doesn't sound like it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.